I've taken the time to study the all-22 coaches film from the Buffalo Bills Week 14 loss to the Los Angeles Rams, and I'm sharing my top takeaways with you today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of Go Bills and Buffalo's Run, also the co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Well, folks, welcome in. Time to share my observations with you from studying the all-22 coaches film from the Bills' 44-42 loss to the Rams. We'll start on the defensive side of the football today. We'll talk snap counts, studs and duds, some comments on the offense, plenty to get into on the defensive side of the football, plenty to reflect on from this game. And I'll tell you what, I get a lot of messages about how do you watch the tape after a loss like that? And I'll tell you what, it's where I want to be. It's where the answers are. You go on social media and it's just people yelling at the clouds, coming up with narratives. It's crazy to me. Just watch the tape. You'll find the answers. And so I'm going to share them with you here today. I want to start by talking about this defense. And in order to start talking about this defense, I think you have to acknowledge that this is one heck of a day for the Los Angeles Rams offense. It is a special game for Matthew Stafford, who's a future Hall of Fame quarterback. This was the 7th best game by a quarterback since 2000 in terms of EPA per play. He was awesome. Made unbelievable plays, in particular on third downs. He was dealing, throwing dots. And I'm not excusing the Bills. They have to be better with their pass rush. They have to cover better. They have to coach better. They can't have blunders. But the other guys get paid too. They want to win too. And a quarterback, a Hall of Fame quarterback like Matthew Stafford, went off. And as I'm watching this film and I'm seeing or reliving, if you will, the throws that we watched on the broadcast of him just throwing dimes to Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, it made me appreciate just how good he was in that game. And also has me asking this question: how replicatable is what Matthew Stafford did to the Bills defense? How can other teams do this? Can they get that performance from Stafford? Can they have McVay running circles around Bobby Babich? Can they have the Bills with no ability to run the football? Will they get a punt blocked for a touchdown? Where the Bills lost by 2 on the road. I have far less panic today than I did after just watching the broadcast. Now, I'm concerned for the defense that it can be had. And I'm concerned that it's going to be had in the playoffs. Absolutely. If you've listened to me throughout the years, you've heard me go in time after time after time on the Bills defense and in the playoffs and how it lays an egg. Like, I am with you on every level of concern that you could possibly have on that. It's been my concern for years now. I'm massively concerned about the defensive line and that it's average at best. But that Rams script, tough to replicate. And maybe, just maybe, it was an outlier game. I've had a lot of conversations throughout the day, particularly in the Herd Mentality Discord channel. which you can become part of with a Substack or a sub-text subscription. People talking man versus zone, and that the Bills needed to run more man coverage against the Rams. They did. They tried it. They got it going a little bit more in the second half, and it didn't work either. Stafford against man coverage had 9 dropbacks. He was 7 of 9 for 112 yards and a touchdown. That's a passer rating of 155.6. Against zone coverage, which there was 20 dropbacks, he was 16 of 20 for 208 yards with a touchdown and a passer rating of 126.7. They tried to run man. They tried to run zone. Didn't work. Stafford got what he wanted. I think the bigger issue was the pressure rate. The Bills only got pressure on 20% of his dropbacks. And in order to get pressure, they had to blitz a little bit. And their blitzes were pretty ineffective. A lot of delayed blitzes from the second level that had no prayer of getting there. But they tried to run man. And Taron Johnson couldn't win. And Rasul Douglas couldn't win. 3 penalties against Douglas. Taron Johnson allowing separation in man coverage multiple times. So, yeah, they tried that. It just didn't work. Partly because you got no pass rush. But I think at the root of it, at the root of Matthew Stafford's special game, and all the production that Kupp and Nacua had, was their ability to run the football. And the rushing numbers for the Rams were not particularly impressive. I think they averaged 3.3 yards per carry on like 42 rushes. But it's how they were able to run the ball early in the game that, of course, later in the game led to some good, quote, air quotes, good run defense from the Bills, but it came at a cost. So let's talk about some of the principles of the run defense, or excuse me, the rushing offense for the Rams that worked so well against the Bills. I think at the root of what they did with their rushing offense was they had motion. And what they did with motion is they had motion at the snap. And at the snap, you know, the Bills linebackers, you could tell a coaching point was that the motion's going to lead you to the football. Well, it didn't. The motion didn't lead you to the football. What the motion did at the snap was it moved the second level and got them a step off when it comes to filling play side. So your second level is going the wrong way. Then they just did a really good job of turning out the 3 technique, which was either Ed Oliver or Dwayne Carter. Both were terrible, especially Carter. And they double the nose, whether it's Austin Johnson or Daquan Jones. And that recipe of motion, a double on the nose, a kick out on the 3 technique, you got creases all day long on their inside runs. Then they were able to work off tackle by doing similar things. They used that motion, and sometimes that motion turned into a jet sweep for Puka Nacua. But when they ran off tackle, they did a good job of having extra bodies in these tight formations that can kind of crack down and put the edge setters in a lot of conflict. So you have all these guys trying to get back over top of blocks because they're pinned inside, and they're winning the edge. But it's all about that motion set up the jet sweeps. It's set up moving the second level. It's set up putting the defensive ends in conflict. And they had a lot of success. So then because of that, you have to blitz to stop the run, and you're rolling down help into the box. You're rolling down that safety at the snap. And what that created was a lot of issues defending the pass. Because now your second level routinely is getting sucked up into the run fit on few play action situations. And you're trying to run quarters or cover 3 behind it. And those guys are trying to stay leveraged vertically to not give up explosives down the field. Meanwhile, there's no second level. There's no underneath coverage. And the Rams could do what they wanted. Tough day for the Bills defense. Great scheme. Great scheme by Sean McVay and company. They had all the right ideas. They executed. Stafford made throws. They were more physical and more competitive. They won up front. They established a line of scrimmage. So not only did they have good scheme, they have good execution and a lot of urgency and physicality and competitive toughness in what they did. And they had a field day with the Bills on defense. Had an absolute field day. So there's that. On the other side of it, I want to talk defensive snap counts and hammer down a little bit more here on some big picture takeaways from this game that eventually we'll get to Josh Allen and the offense. Folks, be sure to stick with me. Hey, Locked On Bills fans, if you're like me and you got to do holiday shopping, let's say you're probably not done with it. Well, if that's the case, I got the perfect gift for you. For any passionate Bills fan in your life, get them one of these. It's an ice shaker. It's an awesome bottle. It's created by and used by the Gronkowski brothers. They've sold over 1 million bottles. They've completely changed the game with these workout bottles. This is the gift you've been looking for. Go to iceshaker.com and use code LOCKEDONNFL at checkout to save 25% off your order. These bottles are awesome. They're made with kitchen-grade stainless steel, so it's not going to absorb any odors. You know what I'm talking about. You've had a cup there, you put coffee in it or Gatorade, and it never smells like anything but coffee or Gatorade. Not the case here. This is kitchen-grade stainless steel, and the design is awesome. It's got the rubber bottom. It's got a handle, which is awesome. Flip open for the top. You have a twist top here with an agitator on the top, so you can make protein powders or mix protein powders, make mixed drinks for the tailgate. It's awesome. And the detail is incredible. This is engraved into this steel. This is high quality. Look at the details on this thing. It says, Go Bills, established 1960. It's all engraved on there. You got the helmet stripe down the side. This is a great product. It'd be a great gift, an absolutely fabulous gift. Get yourself one. Get them as gifts, and we got a deal for you. The team-branded bottles. Get you a Bills bottle. Go to iceshaker.com. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for 25% off your order. Ice Shaker, show your support for your team with the best branded workout bottles on the market, Ice Shakers. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. If you love watching the game, you're going to love Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. Whether it's football, basketball, or any of your favorite sports, Prize Picks makes your holidays bigger and brighter. Here's why you need to check it out. First of all, you can win up to 200 times your money on Prize Picks. Plus, this holiday season, they're giving away $30 million in rewards during Picksmas and offering 2 free picks in December. And when your picks hit, Prize Picks makes it easy to cash out. You can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes, and they have Venmo. That'll make it easier for the withdrawals, for the deposits. I love that. They put their members first. So check it out, folks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL, and that'll get you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly when you play $5. Just visit Prize Picks. Use our code LOCKEDON. Prize Picks. Run your game. So hopefully that opening segment was helpful for you to kind of learn and understand defensively why there were so many struggles and where the scheme won. I want to talk snap counts, and through talking snap counts, I want to have some comments on some individual player performances that I know that people are interested in. So the Bills played 77 snaps of defense. Defensive end, Greg Rousseau, 75%. AJ Epinesa, 68%. Von Miller, 32%. Quentin Jefferson, 25%. Casey Toohill, 16%. Von Miller was comfortably, in my opinion, the best defensive lineman on the field for the Bills. And in particular against the run. He had some outstanding run reps. And the Bills only got pressure on 20% of dropbacks, which I think is 9 total pressures. 3 of them came from Von Miller. He was the best defensive lineman on the team in this game. Quentin Jefferson is firmly the Dwayne Smoot replacement. This is an important role for this defense. This bigger-bodied edge rusher that can reduce inside and be part of the rush package on long and late downs. That is Quentin Jefferson. And, of course, Jordan Phillips not active for this game. So that's the role that Quentin Jefferson has occupied. As for AJ Epinesa, boy, they put him in a ton of conflict. There was an entire series where they ran jet sweep twice right at him with Puka Nacua, got a bunch of yards, and then they scored a touchdown with Kyron Williams by kind of faking that, getting him up the field. Then they creased right inside and scored a touchdown. But I would say that they came into this game with it on their mind to run at AJ Epinesa and put him in conflict, and it worked. At defense, and I would say this about Greg Rousseau. I normally have great things to say about Greg Rousseau. I think this was his least impactful game of the season. At defensive tackle, Ed Oliver, 69%. Daquan Jones, 57%. Dwayne Carter, 31%. Austin Johnson, 27%. I thought Daquan Jones was the best defensive tackle. I think back-to-back weeks, I think he's played pretty well. I thought Dwayne Carter was a mess in this game. Got turned out repeatedly. Zero impact as a pass rusher. Didn't look good. And they got two 330-pound guards in Steve Avila and Kevin Dotson, and those were not good matchups for Ed Oliver and Dwayne Carter. Both of them got turned out and had issues in this game. But the point that I want to make here is, as we reflect on these defensive linemen, and when everybody was even in the offseason talking about number one wide receivers, I was like, I want a number one pass rusher. I want dudes on this defensive line. It's the biggest concern that I had for the Bills entering the season, and it still is. Now, credit to the Bills, they've made a move at receiver. Amari Cooper, Coleman looks good. Like, there's a lot of good happening there. It's not happening on the defensive line. And there's been a lot of investments here, first-round picks, free agent dollars, and the Bills still just aren't getting enough impact out of these players. And that doesn't inspire any confidence for what's going to happen in the postseason, right? I think the number one reason why the Bills have got bounced in the playoffs was 4 years in a row, 5 years in a row, whatever it's been, it's because they can't get enough impact out of their defensive line. And I don't think it's positioned well for that to be different. So you have to overcome this. But the point that I want to make here is, like, maybe this is just a bunch of mediocre players. Maybe Oliver and Rousseau are good, make Rousseau better, but like maybe they're just Robins and not Batmans. Maybe there's just age on Von Miller and Daquan Jones. Maybe A.J. Epinesa is really just a fourth defensive end. I think maybe we got to stop expecting them to be players that they're not. I think it's mediocre talent that just they just don't make enough impact. And whenever the Bills lose, it feels like I always can go right back to this defensive line and say, boy, they just didn't do enough. Disappointing. At linebacker, Terrell Bernard, 100%. Matt Milano, 84%. At cornerback, Christian Benford, 100%. Rasul Douglas, 79%. Jamarcus Ingram, 21%. Taron Johnson, 99%. By far, comfortably, the worst game I've seen from Taron Johnson in a long time. Getting beat in coverage on just certain plays where I have no idea what his intent was. Even on the 4th and 5 touchdown to Puka Nacua, it's man coverage, and he completely just runs himself out of the play. It's hard to reconcile performance for Taron Johnson in this one. At safety, DeMar Hamlin, Taylor Rapp, 100%, Cam Lewis, 17%. So just a little bit of dime this week. Well, I guess, 17 out of 77 snaps, the Bills were in dime for this one. So still part of the plan, but Matt Milano continuing to ramp up. Let me comment on Milano. He had a few good plays in this game, but I think mostly Milano struggled. I think that entire concept that I discussed at the beginning with the motion to move the second level, Milano fell into that quite a bit. A couple of 3 missed tackles that I charted. I think I'm encouraged with Milano is it doesn't feel like he's lacking power and functional strength. Like, I think he's had some really good plays of playing with extension and taking on some contact, but getting off contact, some diagnosing stuff, coverage, he's not all the way back. And the Bills have made a choice here. Like, they recognize Milano, the player he's been, the ceiling that he has, and they're content to let him play and to kind of figure it out here. And is there a case to be made that, like, Dorian Williams is a more effective player right now? Yes. But obviously the Bills are thinking to themselves, Milano is one of the best 3-5 linebackers in the league. If he gets up to speed, that's going to be significant. So you take your lumps right now, and hopefully within a couple of games here, Milano's Milano, but he's certainly not yet. So that's the scoop on the defense. Disappointing, right? Disappointing. One of the big picture thoughts that I have, and in just a minute we'll talk more about the offense, is that this is not normal for the Bills to lose a game in December. They haven't lost in December since 2021. And the only types of losses that are coming this time of year are playoff losses. And there is no tomorrow. Well, the good news is that it's week 14 and that there is tomorrow. Before this game, folks, the Bills were humming. They locked up the division last week. The vibes were at an all-time high. I mean, I was answering a lot of questions about is this Bills team different? And everybody kind of thought yes. They play one game against the Rams in an outlier game, and feels like a lot of that good grace is gone. I mean, maybe getting exposed like this in a game where he didn't have a pulse on defense, you have special teams mistakes, you have coaching blunders. Josh Allen's out there accounting for 424 of 445 yards. Like, maybe that can be used for good down the stretch. And the good news is that finally the Bills have a late season loss where there is tomorrow. And like I said at the beginning, it took an exceptional performance from Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, a block punt for a touchdown for the Rams to win by 2 in LA. I think the Bills made some very uncharacteristic mistakes in the middle 8 of the contest. The Bills had the chance to double dip, right? Score before half, score coming out of the half. They didn't get any points. Going into the half, you had a 3rd and 2. Couldn't convert. Couldn't convert a 3rd and 2. Had to punt the ball, or you chose to punt the ball to the Rams. Josh Allen got out of structure on that play. He had Davidson. His eyes never got to Davidson. Throws incomplete. Then you come out of the half and you wind up you having to punt again. The 3rd down play, you remember it. Josh had Khalil Shakir in the middle of the field, and I think it's a catch that Shakir should make, but obviously it wasn't the best throw by Josh. They couldn't hook up. So the Bills have been so good at the end of half and beginning of second half, and they weren't in this game. The point being is that a lot of uncharacteristic things happened in this game for the Rams to win by 2. I'm not a sky is falling person today. I'm just not. And maybe I'll be wrong, and like the Bills will have a similar game like this in the playoffs and they'll lose and it'll be terrible and we'll have hard conversations and all that. But I think there could be some value potentially in this if used correctly. All right, let's talk about fun stuff on the other side of it, like Josh Allen and how special he was, the offensive snap counts. We'll do studs and duds as well. Folks, be sure to stick with me. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet over at FanDuel.com. It's really fun, folks. I especially love the in-game betting. Like they say here, you can go on one page. It'll show you stats, play-by-play, and you can place a bet. So if you think someone's going to catch a pass, if you think the drive's going to be a field goal or a touchdown or a punt, you could do that right there. So never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, let's talk about this special performance from Josh Allen. And folks, I encourage you to become part of the Substack community. Earlier, before I recorded this, I sent out a file of 30 minutes of me breaking down the plays that I'm talking about. You want to see the run stuff that I'm talking about with motion and doubling and moving the 3-techs and putting up an SN conflict, all this stuff. I put it in the post on Substack where you can watch this and hear me break down these film clips. So check out the Substack. Tons of content. If you like, so much more content that you can get from me if you go to the Substack. There's a link in today's show notes to be part of it. Plus, that gets you into our Discord channel. Got like 1,400 Bills fans in there talking Bills, life, Sabres, Mets, all kinds of stuff. And I'm in there all the time. We do extra content for that as well. So become part of our Substack so you can get into our Discord channel. Josh Allen was special, right? So we just got done talking all about Matthew Stafford being special and the EPA and all that stuff. He was awesome. Matthew Stafford also benefited from having a rushing offense and a massive play on special teams. Josh Allen didn't get that. I mean, there was moments in this game where, Josh Allen just put on the cape and willed the team to points. Getting out of that 2nd and 25 with the scramble and then the completion to Khalil Shakir, the throw to Khalil Shakir down the sideline, the touchdown pass to Mack Hollins. It was really fun. Some good throws to Cooper as well. Let me tell you what I took away from this offensive performance. Number one is I love the chemistry that Josh is establishing with Cooper. I know that there was probably not a very good catch rate. What is it, like 12, 14 targets? Cooper had 6 catches. But what you did see were some really good moments down the field. And on a few of the misses, it was just getting on the same page a little bit. And some of it was like outside of structure where Josh is scrambling and he throws it and Cooper is just a step not where he's expecting him to be. Like, it was very, very close. Point being is that chemistry is coming along and Cooper's a baller. Like, he's just such a natural receiver. The route running's good. The ball skills are good. I really, really like Cooper. And I get excited about the idea of what this offense looks like with Kincaid, with Coleman, with Cooper, with Shakir, with Hollins. Like, I think it can be so good. I think we saw our best throws down the field to Mack Hollins. That relationship is definitely coming along in a good way. And Mack Hollins is a player that just brings so much value to this team that's not just catching passes. You look at the screen, touchdown to Ty Johnson. He's out there making key blocks all the time. He's the key player in the tush push behind him, behind Josh. Like, Mack Hollins brings so much value to this football team. And then we saw Khalil Shakir be special in the middle of the field. The throw down the left sideline to him that put the Bills just a couple of yards away from scoring a touchdown. The running back screens to Ty Johnson, 2 of them. 2 running back screens. The Bills screen game's been good this year, but it's been to Kincaid and Shakir. It's not been to running backs. And Ty Johnson with 2 big-time plays. And obviously, Ty did a good job, but, I mean, good execution by Josh. The one that they scored the touchdown on, they had motioned Shakir across the formation, and they faked the screen to Shakir, which the Bills have run that play a million times, came back to Ty Johnson, and the guy houses it. Really nice design there and execution. But the point being is, like, if we can ever get Kincaid and Coleman back with this mix, boy, I think they're going to be tough to deal with. They already are, but even more. Want to comment on the run game and why it didn't work? I think the number one reason why it didn't work was game script. People forget, like, the Bills were down 10 pretty quick in this game. They were down 17 in the third quarter. You know, it's not a very good situation to run the football, especially when you're not getting any stops on defense and you feel like you got this urgency to stay in this game, and the best way to do that is Josh Allen putting the cape on. But I thought in the 6 runs that you watch James Cook execute, I thought more than anything, the Bills got out-quicked. I thought you had a really, really explosive, twitchy, quick collection of players with the Rams front, and they were able to kind of just slip and get around blocks and make some tackles. And James Cook, you know, didn't have a lot of space to work with, but also his style, which can be a little bit more patient and slashing, against those smaller, quicker guys, they were able to kind of keep up with it. So I thought it was just getting out quick and mostly game script. I don't think you're going to see many games like that from the Bills where the rushing offense just isn't there. Offensive snap counts, the Bills ran 60 snaps of offense. Josh Allen, 100% of snaps. At running back, James Cook, 45%. Ty Johnson, 35%. Ray Davis, 22%. At tight end, Dawson Knox, 82%. Zach Davidson, 27%. Alec Anderson, 15%. The offensive line, everybody played 100% of snaps. At wide receiver, Khalil Shakir, 78%. Mack Hollins, 77%. Curtis Samuel, 50%. Amari Cooper, 53%. Jalen Virgil, 2%. So there's your offensive snap count. Studs and duds. My studs, Josh Allen, that's easy. Mack Hollins, Amari Cooper, Khalil Shakir, and Ty Johnson. Those are my studs. My duds, Reed Ferguson, got steamrolled and gave up a touchdown because of it. Taron Johnson, the Bills relied on him to go one-on-one and some third downs, and he couldn't win. Bobby Babich, Sean McDermott. Those are your duds in this one. I'm ready to move on to the next one, I'll tell you that. We have herd mentality next, and then we're getting ready for the Detroit Lions. And I get it. I've said it. The Lions are a supercharged version of the Rams, and it's a challenging contest in Detroit when they have extended rest. Tough task. But like I keep saying, they put their pants on the same way the Bills do, one leg at a time. We'll play the game. We'll see what happens. All right, folks, that's it for us here today. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.